Hello creatives, welcome back. I am doing a 30 videos in 30 days challenge for the month of September, and where I'll be sharing all sorts of tips on how to break into a creative career and what it means to be a creative professional. So with that in mind, let's get to the video. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about story development tips. We're going to be continuing with that little mini-series within the 30 videos in 30 days challenge. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite story development tips is the case for the 5-act story structure. So yesterday we talked about the 3-act story structure, and today I'm talking about the 5-act story structure, which personally is how I have structured my work in progress story that my novel to be, and I structured it this way after I took a script writing class. And you can see more about why I think every writer should take a script writing class in a video from a few days ago, so I'll put the link for that in the description below if you want to see that. But after taking a script writing class, I really saw the benefit of structuring my story, structuring the novel to be in a 5-act story structure, because it allows for more nuanced, more complex story arcs to be built out that I feel like the 3-act story structure just doesn't give you the tools to do so. The 3-act story structure is good for most stories, but for more complex structures and stories and character arcs, I feel like the 5-act story structure really provides a better framework for flowing through that story and helping develop the pitfalls and the highs and the lows of several character stories arc. So let's dig into it. What is a 5-act story structure? So in the first act, the main character and the main plot are introduced just like it is in a 3-act structure. And in the second act, a subplot will be introduced in pursuit of solving or resolving that main subplot, that main plot point. And then the third act, at the precipice between the second act and the third act, the subplot point might be resolved, but then a new one is introduced as the characters move forward. And again, they're still trying to solve the bigger plot problem at play, but another problem in pursuit of solving it comes up. And then this repeats itself in the 4th act, the precipice between the 3rd and the 4th act. This can take lots of different forms. Each subplot might be something different. Like a subplot might be an internal conflict, it might be an external conflict, it might be a drama related, it might be action related, it might be any number of things. You can have layers of different subplots going on within a 5-act structure, as long as you're moving the overall plot towards the denouement, towards the resolution of the main plot point. Then you're good to go. And if you have lots of characters, if you have lots of subplots going on, I highly recommend pursuing structuring your story with 5 acts, because in the 5th act, depending on if this is a standalone or if this is a series, the main plot point will be resolved. If this is a series, the main plot point might be revealed to be a subplot point within the overarching series. So let's talk about what kinds of stories really fit well into this 5-act story structure. And this 5-act story structure really works well. I mentioned before that with slightly more complicated stories, so sci-fi, science fiction, fantasy, 5-act story structure works really well, because in those stories there's gonna be a lot of characters that have different story arcs. And if you have a series, if you have a book, if you have a TV show, a movie, whatever story it is that you're developing, a 5-act story structure will work really well for science fiction and fantasy. Mystery also works really well with a 5-act story structure because you have lots of different clues and lots of different setup to figuring out and solving that mystery. Like, you really lay the groundwork and take the reader or the viewer through this journey alongside the people who are being the detectives or are trying to solve this mystery. And thriller and horror also do well with this 5-act story structure. They can also fit fairly well in the 3-act story structure too, but I feel like more modern, in recent years, thriller and horror have moved towards a more complicated plot lines. So 5-act story structure might be good if you are pursuing that genre, to really play around with setting up various traps for the main characters, setting up lots of suspense and all sorts of different plot devices within that 5-act story structure. And then the last one that I will say that might be a bit of a surprise, but if you think about it, this kind of genre really fits well, and that's documentaries. I say documentaries as a good genre for the 5-act story structure because even in a documentary there has to be a narrative to the story that's being told, and because you're dealing with real life events, you're dealing with real life people, there's so many nuances that have to be laid out, and to give you the structure needed to properly tell that story, 5 acts will do it. And I mean, 3 acts, 5 acts, it's relatively arbitrary, but in general those are really popular. Like those are the 2 most common acts. You can have more, you can have less, but the 5-act story structure, more acts is better than less acts when it comes to a documentary, because there's so much that needs to be told that in whatever it is that you're doing. So I really encourage you, if you're working on that type of project, to take a look at all the pieces at play and see how many acts it would fall into. So that is my case for the 5-act story structure. Let me know if this was helpful. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. I'm doing much more content like this. Let me know in the comments below what story structure you prefer. Do you prefer 3 acts or do you prefer 5 acts? And let me know what kind of project you're working on. I would love to find out. And if you need some help with structuring your story, book a power with me. I'll put a link in the description down below. I would be more than happy to help you figure out the story that you have and whether or not it's commercially viable. So without further ado, until next time, I will see you in the next video.